What are some common sense, low-hanging fruit things that we could do to improve the legislative process? And I want to clarify a little bit when I say low-hanging fruit. So there are things you can propose that are immediately going to generate that partisanship, those sort of political fights. But there are also a lot of things that all of us who possess a certain amount of common sense can kind of get behind, if you will. In that sort of framing, what do you think are some of the things that we could do to have the legislature operate more effectively in Maine?
Well, some of the less controversial things, I think, would be, first of all, to limit the number of bills. I mean, a lot of states do that. We let any legislator introduce as many bills as he or she wants, and we've got an awful lot of legislators, especially for a state with a small population. So the legislature's burdened with an enormous workload, but a lot of the bills probably shouldn't have been there in the first place, and establishing some limitations and priorities would make a lot of sense. The other thing that's obviously would be very helpful is some sort of strategic plan and an overall ability to coordinate legislation so each bill isn't viewed in isolation. Those two things I think would be really crucial. But two others that are relatively straightforward would be, one, to have more effective quality research done by the legislative staff and the administration to give the legislators more information. They're dealing with enormously complicated problems and often with very limited information. Some information is presented by the lobbyists, pro and con, but that's obviously self-interested on one side or the other. Having some objective, quality, overall research done by the staff would be very helpful. And then finally, we've evolved to this point where every witness in front of the committee is given 3 minutes. Now,
and there's literally a 3-minute clock for those who aren't familiar with the legislative process.
3 minutes, and yeah. I served in state government back in the day, and that was not the case then. At least not for principal speakers representing important constituencies on each side. And we used to debate. I mean, we would, pro and con. I had a nemesis on the other side, and he and I would go back and forth, and that was much more instructive. I would actually learn. I mean, there were things, I thought I knew, but when I heard from the other side, I'd adjust my position and change what we were thinking as we got educated. And everybody, when you have a debate, it's a lot easier to see who's telling the truth, who's got the better argument, and which is a better case to be made. With 3 minutes, basically you're having every interest group get up and say we're for or against, and you really don't have much more time to do anything else.
I like that idea a lot. I've brought a PowerPoint slide to a legislative hearing before, and had a legislator raise the fact that you aren't allowed to have props. So we've sort of created this structure where we really prohibit that sort of free flow of ideas and an opportunity for legislators to really be educated on an issue. So I think that's one we should all get behind.
When I worked for the administration years ago, the governor, we had some situations where things were not going well, and the governor looked at me and said, Joe, why is this happening? Human systems don't exist and persist when they don't work, and this one's completely dysfunctional. And I thought a minute, and I said, Governor, this system's working really, really well for a number of people, and it exists and persists because it serves particular interests very well. And that's true of all the things that are done in the legislature now. I mean, the way that it operates facilitates leadership and control and various interests that want particular results. And so I think any of these things are going to be somewhat controversial and not easily done, but I think the hope is people looking at this and really wanting the best for the state of Maine will be willing to make some changes.